Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to our series From Fitnah to Fitrah, Islamic Parenting in the AI World. This is your sister Sayyida Al Salaam with you. I'm an certified Australian Muslimah Counselor. We're going to start our episode 7 of this series. We'll start it off with a dua. Allahumma inni as'aluka rizqan tayyiban wa ilman nafiyan wa amalan mutakhabbalan. On today's topic, I want to start off with a reflective activity. You can write down in the comment, or you can write it down in our book, somewhere where you write down your journal or anywhere. My question to you is, how much time do you or your children spend interacting with digital devices daily? Have you noticed changes in emotional connection within your family related to technology use? You think there's like a lot of anger, frustration, irritation, whatever it is. What do you feel is lost or gained when AI becomes a friend? Now, if I have to take AI as my friend, what do you think is lost? What do you think has been gained? I want to explain to you three terminologies because this is going to be the topic of this episode. The first one is social isolation. It means avoiding others, spending time alone. Lonely. The emotional experience that you usually have in this is loneliness, sadness, disconnection, anxiety, social anxiety, restlessness. What it looks like is restlessness, avoidance, physical symptoms. The emotional experience that you have is worry, fear, tension. Social comparison is what does it look like? It's like checking others, self criticism. The emotion that you feel is envy, low esteem, and frustration. I'm going to show you these pictures over here. There's this boy who is playing a video game using a VR, and there's this man who's watching a movie using a VR, and there's this girl who's doing her homework, schoolwork with the VR, and then there are this latest Ray-Ban, Meta Ray-Ban glasses and sunglasses, which looks really super cool and so on. But what's common among these three? Some in my workshop, the audience had answered that they all are sitting alone. There is nobody with them, and they are like alone. So, as compared to the previous pictures, what do you think these pictures show? The first one is a group of children playing, two girls studying together, what we call as group study or a companion study. Or the third one is there's a whole family, there's laughing at a show, watching it together, and then there's a family who's eating together. There is a difference between these two, and I feel that the technology as we progress is only promoting or asking us to become lonely and alone, and the cases are rising. um, I'm going to talk about a case study over here before we move on and talk a little bit more into explaining about these situations. So there was this client. We're gonna just name her Fatima. So her mom called me and she said they migrated from South Asian region to Georgia, and they were new. They were immigrants, and the daughter was feeling very lonely and she was not able to connect with people and so on. So online, she connected with a group of people and so on, and she was getting into a lot of risky behavior with them. So these initially it was good. She would play games with them, she would chat with them. She was not able to connect with the people at school and so on. And then they asked her as a day one time to post pictures of herself wearing only, very little clothes. So she did. And her father, coming from South Asian culture, did not accept that. And when he saw those pictures on her mobile, he hit her. Okay. She was upset, she was down. The mom was also shocked about what's happening. She went numb, she didn't know how to respond to all of this. And of course, the father was angry at the wife too. What were you doing? Are you not supervising them? And she's like, I don't know what she does on mobile. I don't know all this technology stuff and stuff like that. So she turns back to her friends online. I would like call it these children nowadays children very lovingly like to call them online friends, but I personally feeling there's no such thing as online friends. They are strangers, and that's what we should call them, strangers. So she turns to these online friends of hers and strangers affairs, and then she tells them that this has happened, da, da, da. And so they encourage her to report the father to the police. And she does. She reports him to the police. The police comes, arrest him. The father is in the jail. These two daughters, she had two daughters, okay? So these two daughters were taken in social services. The mom was alone at home. She had no clue what to do, and she would only be allowed to meet these girls when there is an officer, social service officer among them. She was very depressed. She was crying. She was so shattered that the whole family broke because of what this technology, which she was misusing, is what I would call it, because she didn't know how to use it. And she wanted to go back to her home country. She said, I can't take this anymore. I want to go back, and so on. And then there's this another case of Ahmed. He went through divorce. And when he went through divorce, he wanted to hide from everybody. He didn't want to answer people's question. Oh, what happened? How did you get divorced? He didn't want anybody's sympathy. And he would play games for hours and hours and hours with his online friends. And his work was getting affected. He didn't want to be part of any family occasions or any family events and so on. And he was away from the community too. The Muslim community in Western countries, we usually have, like, we are connected with the mosque, we have a community. He didn't want to be part of that, and so on. And he would see himself, he would compare himself with other people on social media, and he'd be like, why did this happen to me, and so on. After going through some therapy and so on, he understood. He reduced his time from gaming. He started to upskill himself, study something that will help him with his job and further future prospects. He got started connecting with the community, the Muslim community, the mosque, and so on. And then he was out of it. He was able to stop gaming so much, stop using social media, but upskill himself. He used the technology to earn more certification, which will help him with his job, and then be part of the community. He started feeling better, more healthier. He started taking care of his physical health, his mental health, and so on. Now, which age group is most vulnerable to social isolation, social anxiety, and social comparison? Children aged 10 to 14 begin to experience heightened social awareness and sensitivity. They start to feel, oh, we have to be part of this and part of that. And what do? They isolate themselves, because if they don't feel part of, belong to somewhere. Teenagers and young adults, 15 to 25, these are the time when, uh, people feel that they need to be part, like either they have to be married by this age or have a job, or do just follow what the rat race is doing, everybody is doing. And if they don't, they start to compare themselves. They have this social anxiety and then the social isolation. Even young parents and adults face these challenges in different ways, but the youth bear the brunt of comparison and anxiety from digital platforms. Now, maybe I have, there's a young mom, the baby, she just had a baby, she posted online, oh, we are blessed with a beautiful baby, so on and so forth. Everybody, the ladies who did not have a baby yet, they will start comparing and feel, oh my god, she had a baby, she's already married, I'm nowhere close, and stuff like that. Whereas this woman, her baby might be crying the whole night and she looks really horrible, and she doesn't know what to do with the baby, and she's feeling very stressed and so on. And then she sees a post of another one of her friends where she compares, like, oh, my baby slept through the night, we went for a morning walk, and da da da. And she starts to feel low, that why is my baby as beautiful or as well behaved as her baby, and so on. So it's a very slippery slope, or I would say the domino effect, that everybody feels down at some point when they constantly compare themselves with the online perfect, so-called perfect images, or perfect images that have been thrown at us. So, which are the popular platforms among young Ummas? This is something the parents need to know, that these are the platforms that the young Ummah is using. One is Instagram and TikTok. It's the breeding ground for comparison of filtered, idolized images. So I would say, unless and until you are like, not using it for Islam, you're not using it for business, you're not using it to gain some information, stay away from it. Snapchat, there's this girl that I know, she said that she had depression. She was going through clinical depression. She was on antidepressant. I would feel so sad for this girl. She's only like 16. I said, is there nobody that you talk to? And like, what do you do on social media the whole time? She said, oh, we do streak. I was like, okay, what streak? Can you tell me what streak? She told me that the streak is like, with one of her classmates, she would actually do streak would be like, how do I say this? You post a picture, she posts a picture. It can be a picture of anything. It can be the wall, the ant, the tissue, the medicine, of water bottle. It can be anything. You just post a picture, and the other person posts a picture, and this way they're posting pictures to each other. And she says, "I have a streak for over a year, 365, and we never broke the streak." I said, "Okay. So can you not be friends with this classmate of yours?" She said, "No way. We never speak. We don't even look at each other. But we do this streak." I was like very confused. I'm like, okay, for over a year you have this streak going on, but you don't want to speak to each other. Okay, I hope that makes sense to them, not us. And then there's YouTube, the exposure to influencers, lifestyles that may not align with Islamic values. The gaming platforms would be Discord, Roblox, where gaming and socializing, they tend to isolate the younger users from the real world interactions. There's WhatsApp and Telegram groups also. Sometimes the source of group gossip, peer pressure, exclusion. One of the very profound post that I read recently was, there was this child, she was like 8 or 9 years old, and then she would pester her parents that I want to have a mobile because everybody's bullying me, that I'm the only one who does not have mobile, and so on and so forth. Well, the parents finally gave in, got her a mobile. You know what? Her bullying and the bullying never ended over there. In fact, it just went three notches up, like it just went so leveled up so much. They created groups, like whatever group that she would be in, they would talk bad about her, send her memes, post pictures of her uh, during school and so on. And if she would get out of the group, they would actually create a new group in her name, and they would continue to bully her, pull her down, and say stuff about her. They would ask her to send her pictures with in a certain way, and when she would do, they would post, they would share it with the boys, and so on and so forth. It was when I read it, I just felt so horrible for this girl. And a similar situation is something that I dealt with, but not at this level, but yes, a similar situation. It's just like, did the bullying actually end when she finally got her mobile? No, it just did not. It just made things worse. So if you think you're helping your kids by getting them the latest mobile that they want, you are not. I want to ask you a reflective question. Have you or your children turned to AI chatbots as if they were like close friends, relatives, or even parental figures? I personally use it for work. Like, I would not say that, oh, I don't use it at all. I do use it for work because it does help me, because I want to know which baseline assessment should I carry on with my clients, or should, like, in this, what other therapy is possible and stuff like that. Helps me prepare my session notes and so on. So, but do I use it to chat as if it's my friend or my parent or my somebody? No, I don't, because I do understand how horrible this AI is, because it will agree with everything that you say. You cannot even use it for therapy, I assure you that. The reason why is because if you say something, hey, I feel depressed, say, I hear you, I do understand that you're depressed. I want to kill my parents, or my parents are so horrible. Yes, I do understand your parents are horrible. It says yes to everything, and that's not what you really want. I want to talk about three case studies which came to me. The first one was about a boy. He was his parents were very upset because he was very angry, very frustrated all the time, and so on. And when I spoke to him, he was like, he told me during our sessions that I talk to AI, And it's like, yeah, is AI your friend? It's like, yeah, you know what? I sometimes like to think that they are like my parents and so on. And said, you know, whenever my parents get upset with me and they get angry at me, and it was the normal things that, you know, even I as a parent would tell my kids to do, like, you know, do your chores, pick this up, do your homework, no screen time if you misbehave and stuff like that, you know. I didn't find it like anything wrong with what the parents would tell him. But you know, he was like he had this guilt face on him, and I was like, "What's making you so upset? Could you tell me?" And then he said, "You know, would you not think bad of me when I say this to you?" I said, "Sure, why not?" So he told me that I feel like killing my parents. He said, "It's like okay." I said, have you thought about how you want to kill your parents? Because of course, you know, we're profession, we're not supposed to judge, but we need to know to what extent this thought process goes and what created this behavior or this thought process. So he says, I don't know, different ways and stuff like that. It's like, did your AI friend ask you to do this? He said, yeah, I would discuss it with my AI that, you know, I have more parents, and then we would talk about how to kill my parents and stuff like that, you know. And if I choose, like, you know, he would use a character AI to have parents as his character, and they would be so nice to him. See, one of the things about talking to AI, and I might be repeating myself over here, is that, you know, AI would not disagree with you no matter what you say. It'll not show if you say that, oh, I feel this is wrong, then they will be like, yeah, yeah, you are wrong. Maybe you should, you know, or if they say this, I feel that this is like, if I say that the sun is blue, the AI would say, yeah, you know what, the sun is blue. And if you feel like the sun is blue, go ahead and think that sun is blue, even though research says it might be a yellow or whatever. But if you feel it's blue, it's blue. So it agrees with everything, making you feel that you're validated. But you know, as a job for a counselor, it's not like we tell them, oh, there's nothing wrong with you or something. But in fact, we are the ones who are telling them, oh, you know what, let's change your thought process. What you think, it may not be right, may be destructive, and we want to make you more positive and productive. Yeah. So the second case was of this girl who used to like reading books and want to think of different scenarios of stories and stuff like that. So it started off like a funny thing where she picked a Harry Potter character from character AI, and she made this character as her friend, and she would say, oh, you know what, I read this story, did this book and stuff like that. What if I had to change this story? What would be a different, you know, plot in this and stuff like that? And the character AI presented her with this extremely exotic porn type of story, and it was really, she was shocked. She was like, what, 12, 13, not sure. She was young, and she was like, I was, how do I say this? I don't know my feelings, because you know, I said, now this child's innocent is just snatched away from her, and all she did was she was just trying to have an innocent time, thinking of different ways a story would end. And the way this AI had turned things and exposed her to these kind of contacts, uh, is it was really, I don't know how to say this. It was very alarming, I would say. And again, these are all Muslim family stories. The last one is this of this girl who wanted to have a boyfriend, and she felt lonely, and she felt, oh, maybe if I can't have it in real life, because you know we have all these restrictions and stuff like that, because I'm a Muslim girl, let me have an online one. See, technically I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just talking to AI, which is a robot. It's not technically a real boyfriend, so I'm not doing anything haram over here. But it's the way Shaitan presents it to you. the shaitan tries to tell you technically you're not doing anything wrong and it's fine and so Wala taqrabu zina. Don't even go near zina. This has been said in the Quran, and maybe that's something that we need to make our children understand because they're going in that gray area because everything is not black and white anymore. So, why are people turning to AI? When frustration or conflict arises in family or friendship circles, like, conflict, over the years, we would have conflicts in family, within our friendship groups, and so on. But then we would find a resolution for it. We would, even in Islam, it says, don't go without speaking your brother for 3 days. Islam encourages conflict resolution. But what are we doing when there is a conflict? You're like, oh, I'm fed up. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want this family anymore. Let me just turn to AI. Or I don't want these friends anymore. It's all right. Let me just turn to AI. So this AI chatbot offers a convenient escape, a safe space where no one argues back, no one judges, and no one demands emotional labor. You don't feel emotionally exhausted. You don't have to do any conflict. You don't have to do any resolution because the AI is your best friend and he agrees with you on every single thing. However, psychological research warns us that this convenience comes at a price. So, not everything in this world is a bed of roses, not everything is free in this world. The cost is social withdrawal, social isolation, because when you isolate yourself so much, you are not able to have real life interactions and you might fall into depression and anxiety because of lack of genuine human empathy, which impacts your mental health. This distorted reality. You're not able to distinguish between authentic human care and, like I said in that case of this boy, where he didn't know that even if his real parents are telling him to do his chores, to do his homework, and do his stuff, it was out of care that to build his personality and so on. But he thought that his fake parents are so much better because they agree with him on everything, lets him play, and they love him and validate him and so on. You have impaired social skills, especially in children who miss out on learning vital interpersonal cues. Some of the signs and symptoms that you might find is that withdrawal from family and friends, preferring solitude of international or digital interactions, persistent feelings of loneliness despite being connected online. Even though you're connected online, you continue to feel this loneliness. There are physical symptoms like headache, stomachache, fatigue linked to anxiety, excessive worry about social situations, fear or judgment, avoidance of gathering. You would find that your children, my children, or even you, if you are addicted to chatting with AI, that you don't want to be part of any family or social events and so on. You prefer to be with your lovely AI, which agrees with you on everything. Constant comparison to others' curated lives on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, or YouTube. This is for social comparison. Low self esteem, feeling of inadequacy, or even depressive thoughts. You feel depressed all the time. Now, I'm going to list a few of the popular AI chat platforms over here, like Character AI, Replica, AI Dungeon, Bot Libra. Character AI is the most famous one, where many people use that. There is Chai, not the drinking one, but this is a platform where user created AI characters, social chat experience, Vombo AI, and so on. And I'm sure you guys Sister Saida says, don't do this, don't do that all the time. Everything is bad in her eyes. But it's not that. I want to speak to you about the addiction factor of this. So if you're going to start speaking to AI, as in the case of friends, maybe you might give them a call, or your siblings, or your family members, your parents, or anybody for that sake. You give them a call and they might say, oh, we are busy, we have this or that. How about I speak to you later and so on. But AI is accessible anytime, anywhere. Quite dangerous. It's not judgmental and patient. Helpful for practicing social skills in a low pressure environment. You feel, oh, I'm so introvert, I don't feel like chatting with everybody. So I feel that this is low pressure environment for me. And you use it for mental health check-ins, but you're forgetting they have lack of genuine empathy and emotional depth. they don't understand any of this. Even if you say, oh, I had child trauma, I was abused, da, 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 oh, I hear you, oh, I'm so sad this happened with you. Do you want to find out what strategies would work for you? My heart pains because of all the things. I can feel your pain and stuff like that. They do say such things, if I put that in, I read that and I know um, it can foster dependency and addiction. You consistently are looking for that validation from that AI. It may replace real connection, leading to isolation, can distort reality and emotional expectations. I'm not sure if you are hearing this, but yes, many of the real connections are being replaced now, and it's coming up faster than you know. Now, this is connected with the Fitnah of the Jal, and I would like to connect it and show you how Sheikh Kambani describes some of the Dajjal's miraculous powers. That Dajjal will have the power of the devil. He will terrorize the Muslims into following him, converting them into unbelief. He will conceal the truth and bring forth falsehood. The Prophet ﷺ said that the Dajjal will have the power to show the image of one's dead ancestors on his hand, like a television screen. As of now, it's like, the VR that we see, virtual reality. It'll be similar to that. The relative will say, oh, my son, this man is correct. I'm in paradise because I was good and I believed in him. Now, the Dajjal will say, believe me that I'm God. And if they say, no, we don't, they will, like a VR, a virtual reality thing. They will bring in their ancestors, and the ancestors would speak to them and say, believe in him because see, I'm in paradise now, I'm happy, and so on. And in reality, that relative might be in hell. If the relative says, believe in this man, I'm in hell because I didn't believe, one must say to the Dajjal, no, he's in paradise, this is false. Because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the Dajjal's fire is water and his water is fire. That's something that we need to always remember. The Prophet said that Dajjal will say to the Bedouin tribe, Arab, what will you think if I bring your father and mother back to life for you? Will you bear witness that I'm your Lord? That the Bedouin will say, yes. So two devils will assume the appearance of his father and mother and say, oh, my son, follow him, for he is your Lord. Now, is this the reality of today? It is actually. Now, if you see over here in global news, virtual reality, it reunites mother with the daughter. Now, there was this happened. Quite some time back, but the mother was put on VR and so on. And you can actually see this is from Global News, and you can actually see the whole video where they created this dead daughter so that this mom can meet the daughter, and she keeps crying that I want to touch you once, and she starts to believe that the daughter is in front of her because she tries to touch her and so on. It's something that I want you to be aware of how the fitna of Dajjal is very real, because it was said just a minute ago in the hadith that the Dajjal will ask a Bedouin that if I bring your parents back, would you believe me? And that maybe it's a VR where, virtual reality, where these two devil come as the parents, and then they say, oh, my son, believe him. And because looking at them alive, he might believe them, because as in the case of this mother who reunites with her dead daughter. Now, what does Islam says? Islam in Quranic verses. Verily, inna ma'al usri yusra. With every difficulty, there is relief. This verse reassures us that hardship, including emotional struggles, is temporary and accompanied by ease. The strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer, while there is good in both. Strength in here includes mental and emotional resilience, which we must nurture in ourselves and our children. The believers in the mutual kindness, compassion, and sympathy are just like one body. We should be like a one ummah, one body. This reminds us that isolation is contrary to the spirit of Islam, which encourages connection and support. We should not isolate ourselves. As ummah, we should be there for each other. Now, I want to give you some strategies. I want you to have open conversation about the difference between real AI and real human emotions. Encourage balanced screen time, promote real friendships, arrange play dates, family visit, and community activities, model healthy relationships, show your children the value of empathy, patience, and sincere communication. Monitor signs of withdrawal. Be alert to mood, behavior, or social engagement changes. Before bedtime, I want you to make sure that you have the devices or You limit their screen time, like 2 hours before bedtime, no screen, no TV, no nothing. Discuss the highlight reel nature of social media. Remind youth that what they see is often curated. It's not real, not maybe fake. Encourage digital detox days to reconnect with the physical world. Teach children coping skills such as deep breathing, dua, and mindfulness. Regular prayer, salah, and zikr remembrance of Allah can calm anxiety and foster inner peace. Study stories of the prophets who endured loneliness and hardship with patience and trust in Allah. Maybe this is something that you bring in front of them, that no, you're not the only one who felt isolated, but they were Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and there were different prophets. Prophet Yunus Alayhi Salam, who was lonely in the stomach of the whale, and they were all over were able to overcome these situations by the rahmah of Allah. Don't hesitate to consult counselors or therapists, but please make sure that it's a Muslim or a Muslimah counselor who are trained in Islamic psychology. Islamic psychology is a very interesting subject because it connects Islam with psychology, and I'm a very um, how do I say this? I'm a very big advocate of Islamic psychology. Early intervention can prevent worsening symptoms and build resilience. As we navigate the complexities of social isolation, anxiety, and comparison in the digital era, let us remember the timeless wisdom of our beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Each of you is a shepherd, and each of you is responsible for his flock. Let's end this episode with a dua. O Allah, protect our children and us from the fitna of social isolation, anxiety, and comparison in this digital age. Guide us towards the straight path and grant us the wisdom to navigate the complexities of social media and digital relationships. Help us to be vigilant and aware of the signs of social isolation, anxiety, and comparison. Grant us the strength to set boundaries, to educate, and to nurture ourselves and our children towards a life of fitrah where they can flourish in your mercy. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and email me at help@qalaqalnafsi.com. You can message me on this WhatsApp number, or you can visit our website for the latest episodes, information, blogs, and or just to have drop in and say Assalamu Alaikum to me. Our next episode will be on reclaiming childhood, protecting our children from toxic trends. This would be our last episode for the series From Fitnah to Fitrah, which will be followed up by the next series, Beyond the Screen, which is based on the feedback given by the parents who wanted to have to for me to conduct on different topics. Jazakallah khair. I want you to make dua for the speakers, the organizers, and everyone who has listened to this episode. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.